To the people where civility is always in style. This is KXEX 1550 AM. You can catch us Saturdays at 4, Sundays at 6 p.m. We talk politics, education, religion, technology, sports, values, and healthy communities, and just about anything you want to talk about. Good News with Larry Powell's also heard. Nothing but good news Monday through Friday, 10 and 4. Join us for that. You can catch us on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We got it. We got a place for you to listen at your convenience. What a neat thing that KXEX does. My special guest today is my good friend, Guillermo Moreno, who is owner, talk show host, does a lot of really fun things. We're going to talk about some stuff in just a few minutes, but I love radio. Radio is one of those opportunities to get to chat with folks. You get to talk about just about anything you want. It's not nearly as difficult as TV in a lot of ways because you can't pick your nose. You can't, on television, you can't scratch wrong. I mean, radio, you can get away with a lot of stuff. But I just love what happens because people still want to hear radio. And whether you're in your car, whether you're, streaming or, picking TuneIn or one of the apps that's available, you can catch us anytime. And we're getting so good at being able to do it when you want to hear it, which is really unique. But a lot of crazy things going on in the world. But today we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk to Guillermo, and we're going to learn a little bit about him. But I want to kind of pick his brain a little bit, how he got into this whole gig called radio. Guillermo, hey, welcome to your station and your show.
Hey. Well, it's your show on the People Station.
Yeah,
on the
really.
People. That's what we should do, the People Station.
Yeah, really.
But no, it's an honor to be a guest. I'm the guest for everyone when I guess their real guests don't show up because they're like, oh, you're always in the studio ish.
Well, yeah, really.
But I was coordinated, so I'm not a relief guest.
Yeah, really.
I'm not a relief
I
guest.
called in advance. The unique thing is that we get a chance to talk about just about anything on here. And one of the good things you've done in your station is you obviously have rules. The radio has rules, certain things you can do and can't do, but there's no limitations on what we want to say. Opinion is an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get to talk about what you want to talk about. I really like that. It's not like, okay, we're firing you tomorrow or today.
No, I have a pretty open door policy. And I've told everybody, you can't say the 7 prohibited words on radio, and we have another 70 that you can't say. But it's all in. I don't censor what people can say. I've even said that I'd offer airtime to really virtually anyone. I mean, whether it be BLM, Antifa, you got an opinion and you can articulate it. And I know a lot of our conservative friends will be like, "Well, why are you gonna let them on air?" No, if you have a position, you can articulate it. You deserve a platform. And I think in a day and age where platforms are starting to censor a lot of people, I think radio is really special because I think it was the ultimate OG platform, the beginning
absolutely
platform. Musicians obviously got to be in that space.
All the
first.
breakthroughs.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have the jazz we have now universally.
Amen. Yeah.
If you didn't have radio. All of the stuff that happened in music. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
And you took your record in those days around to DJs, and you said, play this.
Yeah.
So you're traveling to 3,000 stations trying to get your song played.
Right now you just email it.
Yeah,
you Dropbox it. It's crazy.
It's really wild. Really wild.
But I got my start in radio. I don't know if you know him, by a gentleman by the name of Paul Deffenbach. He was in town. He was a radio sales guy. And he had linked up with the Republican Party. And at that time, I was volunteering at the Republican Party. And I was like, I think I want to run for office. I think I could do some good. These guys, it can't be that hard.
Yeah, really.
And he's like, well, Guillermo, nobody knows you. I'm like, well, yeah, that is true. He's like, why don't you get some name ID? And a great way to get name ID is if you pay me to be on the radio station.
Absolutely.
And I said, all right, let me give it a shot. So he went in the studio. Didn't really give me much guidance. And said, you just talk from your heart. I'm going to push this little button here. And you just go. And it was the Memo Show. Was born at 1680. And then I did the Memo Show for about a good 4 months. And then I had an opportunity to guest host at another station.
Okay.
And the gentleman there, the PD, Jay, mutual friend, says, you're not that bad.
Yeah.
We need a Latino.
Yes.
And you fit both. You're not bad. And we need a Latino.
Latino.
And so then the Guillermo Moreno Show was born on that station. And we did good. We did a year. And then I contract negotiations don't go well.
Yeah.
And it fell through. And then about 2 months later, we finally reached an agreement. So I went back on air.
Yeah.
Guillermo Moreno Show 2.0. And we lasted probably a couple of other months before I left and went back home because 1680 at the time, which is now 1550, had an opportunity to program the entire station.
Yeah,
and
that's fantastic.
And so I thought, well, being an on-air host it must be pretty similar to being an on-air host, just running the whole shebang. And it's proven to be it's a lot harder.
A lot harder. A lot more work.
A lot more work. Radio is unforgiving. It's really unforgiving. It's unlike any business because, if you're at a retail shop, you have inventory, right? You have stuff on the shelf. Radio, you don't have anything on the shelf because you can't make up the time that just passed. So it's very delicate, but it's also a great industry. I've had the opportunity to meet so many broadcasters locally. And
you go to a lot of events.
I do.
Both local and national.
I do.
You're not just stuck here in town, but you're international at times too.
Yeah. China's always listening.
Yeah.
So is Russia.
Yeah, and sometimes they block you.
Yeah, they block us.
Yeah,
but it really is the power of radio. And I know you mentioned it before. Is when you're out and about and wait a minute, I know that voice. Are you Guillermo? Yeah, nice to meet you.
No, it's cool.
And sometimes it feels like you're in a box, just talking to yourself in a box in the studio. But the impact is really great. You don't know who you're touching, and that's why I really love our religious programming on the weekend because.
Absolutely.
You never know who's listening and what they need to hear.
That's right. Well, folks, I want to give you a little different insight to Guillermo today. Now, the original Guillermo Moreno is from Argentina.
I Googled it. Yeah.
Did you Google that?
I have Googled it. See if I would make the list, but no.
Yeah. He was an interesting guy. He's secretary of what is it? Local something or other, national Argentina stuff. But but we've got the best Guillermo.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
and
that.
He's here. But, I want folks to know a little more about you. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in, it would be Kerman. I guess it would be Kerman. My mom was, she was a teen mom. She had me at very young.
Yeah.
Had me at 16. And grew up in Fireball and then moved to Madera for a short stint and then Kerman ultimately. And I attended.
So the whole west side.
Fresno
County, Madera County.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great community.
It is.
So.
It really is.
Wow.
It really is.
And 15 miles. It's 15 smiles from Fresno.
It is.
Is Kerman.
And when you were younger, that drive from Kerman to Fresno seemed like 2 hours long.
Yes.
But I grew up in Kerman and my mom only spoke Spanish to me when I was first born.
Oh,
so when she went to the enrollment office at Kerman Floyd Elementary, and Mrs. Newsom was the principal, and I know you knew Mrs. Newsom.
Yeah.
And they told my mom, "Hey, well, does he speak English?" He's like, "No." It's like, "Well, he needs to be in the remedial class."
Oh, man.
And she said, "No, you're going to put him in there." He's like, "No, ma'am, he doesn't speak English. He has to be in the remedial class." Oh. And she said, "No," and they put me in the class. And my teacher, my first grade teacher was Mrs. Toasty.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Mrs. Toasty.
Yeah,
and
how cool.
And I remember being in class, not knowing anything that was being said. And Mrs. Toasty would take me aside. And back then they had a teacher's aide. And they still might. She took me aside for about a good 20 minutes every day.
And worked with me.
Wow. One-on-one.
And eliminated your accent.
She did.
Yeah, you have that general Western accent now, which is radio, television.
That's good, I guess.
Yeah, no, it is. It is because think about all of the folks, unless you're in the deep South. If you're in the media, you have a general Western accent everywhere. I mean, my wife's uncle was in radio and in television in Philadelphia and the big stations, and he was the weatherman. And I mean, he's no longer with us, but he had a general Western accent, and everybody does. I mean, that's what they expect is something that it doesn't put you in a geographical location.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to do with
Well, that's good. I can get a job if this doesn't work out here. I can get a job in Philly.
Yeah. Hey, so did you go to the high school in Kerman?
I did not. So, I was in Kerman Floyd up until 7th grade. 7th grade, we moved to Fresno, the big city. Moved to the big city.
Yeah.
Tioga Middle School.
Tioga.
I attended Tioga Middle School there.
Just off Shaw there in First Street, Fresno.
Yeah, right by Fashion Fair.
Yeah.
And then,
did you do what everybody does, go across?
You know it. You know it, to the mall fashion
the mall,
fair.
baby.
Yeah, back when they had the old food court there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember it.
It was a long walk, though.
It was a long
It was
walk.
a long walk. But no, then I attended Sound Key Memorial because I knew I wanted to be in the best school.
SJM.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the best school, and someone told me, "Hey, well, you got to go to the Catholic school." Yeah, the Panthers.
They just won a basketball, or got second place, I guess.
Oh, wow!
But they've always done well, in athletics and stuff. And and it's interesting. They're so competitive, and they do a great job in educating. They're really good people. And as a former county superintendent of schools, we worked with not only private, but we worked with homeschoolers. We worked with everybody because they all pay taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And if we can help you out, we're going to help you out. I can't believe how fast these segments go. We're done with our first one, Moreno. Guillermo, we're going to be right back. But you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back with you.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
If you're in a low, if you're getting sick, if you're feeling well, if you're getting up, if you just fell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Some things never change.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. Listen, Guillermo, tell me about your family. Did you have brothers and sisters growing up? Who do you have now connected in the family? And
well, now I have a wife.
Yeah,
but no kids. My mom and I have two sisters.
Okay.
So I have, and we're each very, very.
So 2-1.
Yes, 2-1.
That's really outnumbered because there were 3 boys and 1 sister, and we were outnumbered.
Oh, let me tell you. And I was raised by nothing but women. Single mom, grandmother, aunts, and 1 uncle, which really was never around. He is now.
Yeah.
But I have 2 sisters, 10-year gap between the second one, and a 20-year gap in between. So it's we're
like 3 separate families.
3 separate generations.
Yeah.
It really is, which
wow.
which makes for interesting conversation.
Of course.
But no, I love my sisters. I have a nephew now. So
that's
boy,
cool. Yeah.
So we're trying to even out the ratio.
We're
trying to even out the ratio in the family.
That's good.
But I have a wonderful family. My middle sister's not political at all, which is refreshing. My youngest sister, of course, grew up when I started doing radio, so she's listened to me for about 4 or 5 years now.
So is she a Republican?
She's a far right Republican. Like she's far right.
I love it.
We joked at the convention, the Republican convention, that if you don't like where my mom stands on an issue, then you just keep going further right, and you'll find a Moreno where that'll agree with you on the spectrum. But no, I have a wonderful family, and I'm very blessed.
Oh, that's
very,
cool.
very blessed.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, when you were in high school, where did you go to high school? San Joaquin
Memorial, SJM. Okay. Yeah.
Did you participate in sports or?
I did.
Other kinds of things or extracurriculars?
Yeah, well, funny story. I wasn't a sports guy. Growing up in Kerman, I tried out for Babe Ruth, didn't make the team. And I thought they had to take everybody. Apparently not. Too. They didn't take me. I was that bad. So baseball didn't work out. My mom put me in soccer. And of course I went to like the crappiest team. And I was the goalie and we lost every game. Even the girls scored on me. So anyhow, so that didn't work. And so when I was in 7th grade in Tioga, middle school, I said, you know what? I got to be an athlete. I got to do something. So they made an announcement over the intercom. It was Mr. Gonzalez, the principal. And he said cross country tryouts or this. And I didn't know what cross country was. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's like competitive, like line dancing, cross country.
Oh boy.
So I went to the room and I found a coach and I'm like, hey, I want to sign up for this cross country thing. What is it? He goes, what do you mean, what is it? This is running. I was like, oh, okay.
It's not only running, it's running and running and running.
So I was like, well, it can't be that bad. And I did it. So I signed up for cross country and I was number 2. I was a number 2.
Great cardiovascular.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, yeah. And then I got tired of it. And then I started playing tennis. I love tennis.
Yeah.
So I really got into it, convinced my mom to drop me off at the tennis club every day. and then I just got really, really good.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
that was so I played
So Sam
tennis.
Gonzalez was your
The principal. Yeah, Tioga.
Sam and I played golf together and good friends and known each
That
other
is
for many,
awesome.
many years. So
He's a good man.
yeah.
Tioga Middle School. I
A
had
great place.
Mrs. Tololian.
Yes.
I don't know if you know her.
Oh, yes.
I love Mrs. Tololian. Her son is actually a professor out at Reedley.
Oh,
And
cool.
he runs Constitution Week. But I remember Mrs. Tololian's class. She had a raspy voice, sweet little thing. He goes,
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, if you don't pass 8th grade English,
Yep.
you're going to fail in life. I'll hold you back. And if you don't believe me, a couple years ago, I held a guy back. He was driving out of 8th grade.
Oh,
And we were like, oh my gosh, we got to pass 8th grade English.
Yeah, that's right. In those days, you had to pass the Constitution.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
a lot of other things that I wish we were doing more of. Technically in California, you're supposed to do a patriotic exercise every day in school.
Yeah.
And that can be the flag salute. That can be whatever. You can sing a song or, patriotic song or that kind of stuff, but we're getting away from that. And I think it's hurting our country.
It is. It really is.
How do you get people to love something if you don't talk about it on a regular basis and talk about the good things that are going on?
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I remember in Kerman Floyd, I forgot what it was, but it was like a competition where they sang. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And we would go and each class would sing. I mean, it was rigid. Like 3 minutes, you got to sing. And I forgot what it was called. And I had Mrs. Mott, I think it was 5th grade, Mrs. Mott. And they had us do the preamble.
Oh, I love it.
And that's what we did as a song.
Yeah.
And so, I look back and I just, I thank God because I grew up at such a great time. No social media.
Yeah.
Teachers were there because they wanted to teach. It was no influence, no nothing. Like I don't remember being political at all until high school. I mean, K through 8th grade, not a lick of politics.
It was just fun.
Growing up. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say fun, but it was I had a chance to be a kid.
Yeah.
I had a chance to be a kid. I didn't look at the skin tone of another person. We were all there together. We're all stuck. We're all stuck in the same classes together.
That's a good title for middle school too.
Yeah, you're just stuck. It's just weird and it's awkward.
Yeah.
So when I look back at this generation, it breaks my heart because simplicity, there's something to it, and just being able. I mean, carrying a book around.
Yeah.
The 30-pound backpack hurting your back. It just it was great growing up the time that I did.
That was good stuff. Well, what were your
and you were the superintendent.
Yeah.
So you, by virtue, trickled down, leadership. I was, very blessed because you were in charge of the whole shebang at the time.
Yeah, history day and got to do all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Academic
red ribbon week.
Yeah. And I love education. I've spent my whole career, in education. So I tell people not only was I 43 years in officially working in education, but I had all of those years in education as a student leading up to it. And then my grandkids are in education. My daughter's a teacher. I'm soaking it up all the time. And I love what it does because it gives everybody an equalizer chance. And I used to tell kids all the time, if you want to be stupid, you can be stupid. That's a choice you can make. But if you want to be successful, learn everything you possibly can when you're in school.
Yeah.
Because it is your ticket out of whatever trouble you're in, anything else. And once you've got an education, it's like learning to ride a bike. You never lose it. It's yours forever.
That's so true.
Yeah. And I just hate it when kids don't take advantage. But the good thing is, and I really like the fact you brought up that you spoke Spanish to begin with, because here's something that a lot of folks don't realize, and I like to point this out. There are 2 levels of Spanish speakers and anybody who speaks a foreign language. There's those who are literate and speak a foreign language, and for you as a home language, and then there are those who are illiterate and speak a language. The literate can translate and learn something else in another language very quickly, and they also, you want to make sure that if you speak Spanish and you're literate in Spanish, then you want to teach the same things that you want kids to learn in history, you want to teach in Spanish so they continue to learn while they're acquiring English. We've made a huge mistake by saying you can only take academic classes in English, and that's the dumbest thing you can do because you lose time by doing that.
Yeah.
If you're illiterate, then you can't do it. But if you've got kids that are literate and speaking another language, teach them in their home language while acquiring English. And think about this. We wait until high school to require you to get ready for college, because to get in college, you want to have a foreign language. But we have you learn it when you can't learn it. High school is hard.
Or you just do what my mom did, just throw me in the water and just you'll
swim, baby, swim.
You're gonna learn. But Mrs. Toasty was. I mean, I was.
She's cool.
I mean, I had the A team growing up.
Yeah,
and teachers.
That's really cool.
I was so blessed.
Well, and Kerman is doing a great job even now.
Good.
They're great folks out there.
It's a great community.
But I wanted to ask, what were your passions when you were growing up? You know, what hobbies did you have? You know, obviously you got your school stuff and things, but was there something else that grabbed you during those days?
I guess I always had a tendency towards politics.
Okay.
I always did. When I was in SJM, someone had told me, hey, there's this Chicano Latino leadership thing in Sacramento. You should apply.
Right.
I was like, all right. And I applied. I got in. I got to spend a week in Sacramento as a student legislator.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I remember they were having us, that we sat on the dais and we sat in the lawmakers' positions. And I will never forget it. We were arguing about, and this actually does come up every once in a while. They wanted to ban sugar from schools, you know, the sodas. And, and so that came up. And so I was on the state floor, and I said, we ought to call this the Walt Disney bill, because you all think you're in Disneyland. I forgot what I said. And afterwards, one of the lawmakers came up and said, hey, you know, kid, out of all these, you sound like a legislator, because that's something someone would say.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
just give it to. So I always had this fascination with politics. And at San Joaquin Memorial again, I took it was the only AP class I took at Memorial. It was AP, American History. with Mr. Garabedian.
Oh yeah.
And I was a liberal. I was a hardcore liberal. I mean, a JFK liberal, because I wasn't an AOC liberal.
Yeah.
And we had this course, and it was full of Republicans. And I remember this guy in front of me. I'll never forget, Patrick High, and he was a hardcore Republican. And Mr. Garabedian, we talked about something, and the class knew that if Guillermo said something, Patrick was going to counter. He was going to come out.
Yeah.
So a funny story happened.
I love classes like that.
Oh man! And then and when I would run out of stuff, I'd be like, oh, "You guys are mean to the kids. What about the kids?" And Mr. Garabedian would say, "What do you know? Come on, you can't. Now stop right there." But a funny thing happened after a year of arguing and bickering with Patrick. We were at senior prom, and I guess both of our dates probably left us because we were losers and nerds. And we said, "Hey, let's take a picture together, and let's give it to Mr. Garabedian." We went up, we took a picture, and it wasn't like your prom picture where we're holding each other. He grabbed my tie and I grabbed his, and we have and we're going ready for a punch.
You still have the picture?
I still have the picture.
I love it.
So, but you know, even back then now I'm not liberal anymore. Even back then, I just remember the conservatives that surrounded me were kind.
Ah, interesting. So. Yeah. Well, folks, you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We're so glad you're with us. I've got my special guest today, Guillermo Moreno. We're going to be right back, so stick with us.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
We got to redo his intro. I think the music is Jay's voice is way too low.
No matter what comes, no matter what goes, if you're on a high, if you're in a low, if you're getting sick, if you're feeling well, if you're getting up, if you got spell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Some things never change.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People. I just love that song because it says some things never change, and what never changes is God's love for us. So that's pretty cool.
Amen.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We often say, things never change. We're sick of it, but it's the good things never change. You know? So that's something really special. Listen, how did you go from San Joaquin Memorial, and what did you do when it came to college time?
Oh man,
what were your choices?
Glad you asked. And talk about God.
Yeah.
So I was in my senior year at Memorial, and we grew up Catholic, and my mom started attending an Adventist church around that time. And I had told myself, and I look back and thank God gave me some brains, because when I was in 8th grade, I said I want to go to the best school. I ended up Memorial. And when I was at Memorial, I was like, oh my goodness, I got to get out of Fresno. I got to get out of Fresno. I've been a Valley kid. I've been here way too long. I need to see another part of the world.
You ended up a boomeranger, though.
Yeah, I did.
Back.
I did. I was like, I got to get out of here. And I made a deal with God. Listen, God, I got to get out of here. Whatever school that takes me. Whatever school that takes me, I don't care where it is, I am applying.
You could have ended up anywhere.
I could have ended up anywhere. So I made a deal with God, and I applied. And I don't know why I overshot. Like my GPA was like a 3.4, 3.5, and I applied to Harvard and Stanford and Brown and Amherst. Got rejected every single one, and the rejection letters were just piling up. And I applied to Fresno State, and of course, I got into Fresno State.
Sure.
And so I'm sitting there, just really down, like, man, I'm not going to get out of here. I was like, I made a deal with you, God, like anywhere. And so finally, my mom she applied for me. And she's like, why don't you apply to this place, Andrews University? I'm Advent, this is all the Adventists talk about it. It's the Mecca of Adventism. And I was like, oh, Mom, I go to your church and it's like 3 hours long. What is up with that? I'm Catholic. We go in 1 hour and we come out 1 hour. What do you got to do for 3 hours?
Yeah, really.
And so she goes, just do it. And so she applied for me. And I guess she took my personal essay that I had and sent it in. And I don't even remember if we ever paid the fee. And sure enough, my mom gets a call and says, hey, we're taking your kid. And she actually went to Memorial. Wow. I remember the day. She went to Memorial, pulled me out of English class and said, hey, you got in to Andrews University. And I was like, I have no idea.
So where is Andrews?
Michigan.
Okay.
And they had
that's how you ended up in Michigan.
They had a horrible website, by the way. It looked like a prison. And so here I was so happy, like, yes, I'm getting out of Fresno. I'm going to Michigan. I don't know a darn thing about Michigan. Yeah. And I'm just really happy. And so I looked at the website, and it was like the early website days. I mean, this place looked hideous. It looked like Corcoran State Prison.
Oh, boy.
I was like, well, at least it's not Fresno.
It's not Fresno.
And so I went there, and it was a very religious school. Cafeteria was vegetarian. And I went on.
Now that's religious.
Oh, yeah. And I went on a preview.
I'm in trouble.
I went on a preview weekend and just really fell in love with the community.
Cool.
And I went there. And actually, my first week, I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to overshoot here. I'm going to run for student body president. I know nobody here.
Oh, I love it.
And so that first week, I was like a politician. I was meeting everybody. Hey, my name is Guillermo from California. From California. And a week later, they elected me as student body president.
Wow.
And it was really weird because, I was very political, and here God threw me into this school that I didn't, he literally chose it for me. Yeah. I didn't choose it. And I liked it. I liked the community. I was elected as student body president.
That's cool.
And just after that, the rest is history. I ended up being reelected again. And then as a sophomore, I ran for the whole student body because I was freshman class president, sophomore class president. And then my junior year as associated student body president, and I won. Okay. And I did 2 years as that. And I actually started a television station on campus.
You did?
Yes.
So media was early in your blood.
I guess so. And I never wanted it to be because I said, you know what, I'll be an attorney. I'm going to run for office. And then I ended up meeting my wife my senior year.
Did she go there?
She went there.
Oh, yeah, cool.
She was 1 year behind me. Yeah. And she didn't like me at first. She thought I was the most stuck up, arrogant. And I was like, I was president of I had my own office. I had my own office in the student community center.
And they liked you from the day you got there.
And they liked me. I was a big shot. Anyhow, so we started dating, and I told her my senior year, I said, look, hon, we're just starting dating. This thing is new. I got a trajectory I'm on. I'm going back home to Fresno after law school. So she's like, where the heck is that? And I was like, well, it's in Central California. If we're going to last, just know you're going to have to come back with me because I ain't staying here.
No, that's good.
And you're going there. And she's like, all right, whatever. And
where was she from?
She was from that area, Michigan.
Oh, so she was. So that was kind of homeschool for her.
Yeah, she moved there when she was 9. She immigrated from Latvia.
Gotcha.
Latvia.
Wow.
So she didn't know a lick of English too. Come to think of it. Anyhow. And so she did physical therapy school there, and I did law school. And same thing with law school. I was like, God, I'm a smart kid. I'm going to go to the Ivy Leagues, apply to Harvard, Stanford, Michigan, and they all rejected me from law school. And University of Michigan, and this is kind of God too, because University of Michigan was mean. Oh. They underlined on the rejection letter, we're sorry to let you know that you are not accepted. And they underlined not accepted in blue ink.
They wanted to make sure you saw that.
And I was like, well, I'm not an idiot. Like, I know how to read. And it wasn't like, on mailers, you can like put the line. No, someone literally, like, it was a natural
it was
pen stroke.
Somebody went through and did it.
Yes, and then I got into law school at Michigan State.
Oh,
So
did you send them a letter back to the other people?
No. One day, maybe I'll make it big. One day, I will be able to reject University of Michigan somehow, some way, and as a Spartan, it'll feel just much better.
You didn't feel bad about them getting blown away in the
not
championship games.
Not for one bit. I have no compassion for University of Michigan.
That's cool. Well, there are more Michigan people in California than any place in the world except Michigan.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, they all came here, so you must have got them here with you. At that time.
It's a beautiful state, and it's so much different than California.
Yeah.
For those people that have never gone out of the Central Valley, it's a different culture.
Oh, very much so.
It is a different culture. But I mean, I could talk forever on Michigan. I love Michigan.
Yeah. My wife was born in Kentucky, but lived most of her childhood in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So Pennsylvania, Michigan, similar kinds of things. And it is a different world. They have no, gates and fences in their backyards.
That was weird.
And,
I agree. That was so weird.
How do you barbecue?
It was weird. To this day, I still, my in-laws live. They teach now at the school that me and my wife met. The professors there, and they have no fence. And I was like, "What? This is just odd. You could see all the neighbors' trash.
Yeah, exactly.
And the neighbor doesn't care.
No, they don't.
It's so odd.
Give me my little slice of heaven here in Fresno.
Yeah,
and I'm going to have a fence.
Yeah, it was just weird. But the chains always crack me up. Those Fazoli's was a spaghetti chain.
Yeah.
Where you can order fast food spaghetti.
Yes.
It's called Fazoli's. That was cool. Carl's Jr. They're called Hardee's over there.
Yeah. Yes.
There's
Pennsylvania, same thing.
Yeah, and then there's other competition to Walmart called Meyer.
Of course. Fred Meyer stores.
Frederick Meyer.
Yeah.
It's great. I tell everybody, you got to get out of town. You're going to boomerang back, but you need a greater view. I think if you, and you might, as an educator, you might disagree with me, but they got to get out of town because
my brother left but never came back,
and that might happen.
Another brother left and never came back. I actually came back for a very short time.
Did they follow women to their hometowns?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now my one brother Randy, he runs a counseling program called Journeys in Southern California. Has about 70 counselors that work with him, and that he basically runs. He went to Vanguard University, Southern California College, and he just stayed, and he had no desire to come back, and they'll never come back now. That's just the way it is. My other brother Steve went to Atascadero and the state hospital there because he was in counseling but mental side of healthcare, and the doors were so thick, like a foot thick, with all the mentally ill criminals were there at Atascadero State Hospital. And when you closed that door, it was like, oh man, I'm never getting out of here.
Oh man.
But he's now in Sacramento, and he went to Kaiser Permanente, did a lot of work with them, but they left and never came back. I chose never to leave, and my sister chose never to leave. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm one of these homebodies. I love Fresno. I had opportunities to go a lot of places.
I bet.
But I couldn't see myself away from Fresno. I love the longevity of what happens when you're in one place for a long time. And yet I don't begrudge my daughter. I put her in Fresno State for a semester, and then she got through with one semester, and she said, Dad, I applied to Southern California College. So she went to Vanguard. After we built a new house, she's 6 foot tall. We built cabinets and everything to accommodate a 6 foot tall girl. The shower was big. Entrance was her own 4-car garage. And she says, I'm out of here.
Oh, man.
But she's come back. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's all good.
But spread your wings. Spread your wings.
I think it's really good. It's healthy.
You have to.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. And then the other thing you can do is you can marry somebody from out of town so you get an out of town experience.
There you go.
That's what I ended up doing. My wife was a stewardess for American Airlines when we met.
Oh.
And boy, I tell you, you talk about marrying up.
Yeah,
I did. So
you sure did.
We were very blessed, very blessed. So we're going to talk a little bit about, you went to law school.
I did.
And that was a trajectory that politics and lawyers seem to go together.
That's what I thought,
I want to talk a little bit to you about that when we get back, about running for office. is that in your blood? Is that something you might think about down the line? So, folks, I want you to maybe hear it first here.
Maybe.
Listen, I love politics. My
Is that
degree,
why I came after Steve Brandau? No,
Yep.
Alan Autry.
Yeah,
and then
Alan,
Steve
yeah,
Brandau.
that's
Gosh,
right.
okay.
But I love politics. My degree is in political science and taught American government and all that stuff. But political stuff was always a part of who I was. I absolutely love it. Ran for student body president in high school, and I ran because somebody said I couldn't make it. So don't ever tell me you can't do something, because I'll be doing it. Now, I don't run the 100-yard dash because of polio, but I can drive it, so who cares? So we're good anyway. But listen, you're listening to Powell to the People. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. I've got my special friend Guillermo Moreno with me today, and we're going to hear a little more about Guillermo's story. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
If you're on a high, if you're in a low, if you're getting sick, if you're feeling well, if you're getting up, if you just fell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Some things never change.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. Listen, we've only got about 12 minutes of time left.
That's
folks,
a long time.
I don't think they realize, it's not a 15-minute deal or an hour deal. It's 48 minutes.
Yeah.
So we got to get a lot of stuff in. But you know what I wanted to do? You went to law school. Your trajectory, obviously, running for, class president at your university when you didn't know anybody. That there's something that bites you with politics that once you're in it, you want to be in it. It's hard to leave it. It's very hard to leave it. I got elected, as county superintendent twice, got more votes than Angelides and Schwarzenegger combined in Fresno County.
That's
so
awesome.
That was fun. But, it's interesting. It does get in your blood, and you've chosen to get into it in a little different way. But tell me, so you decided not to go the lawyer route.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone into politics in a lot of ways with talk show and things. The Guillermo Moreno show. Every Monday through Friday, 4 to 7.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how you talk for 3 hours,
It's magic. I don't.
I'm done. But, folks, if you want to hear some really challenging kinds of stuff that Guillermo doesn't let you off the hook, and I really like that about you, whether it's Republican, Democrat, independent, left-wing, right-wing, woke or radical, or reactionary, you challenge everybody, and I like that.
I believe in equity and giving my opinion. That's for darn sure.
No, that's a good thing. So, what I want to do, you went from Democrat to Republican. What made that happen? I did the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, I guess what did it was law school, and then I opened up a business during that time, and it really opened up my eyes and said, "Well, wait a minute, I don't like all these taxes getting cut from my paycheck."
Yeah.
And it was really more the business reason that I became a Republican.
Interesting.
And I'm glad I did, because after that, I think the Democrat Party just went in another direction. So I think it was inevitable, me leaving the party.
Well, Democrats in the early 60s were actually Republicans today.
I believe it. Yeah.
Kennedy, in a lot of ways, was conservative, very conservative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to do something with you that's a little different. I want to throw out a name, and then just get Moreno's reaction.
Okay,
to a name. So let's start with Biden. What are your first thoughts? What comes to your mind immediately?
Pity. I feel bad for the country. I feel bad for us.
I feel bad for him too.
I do. I do feel bad for him.
Pity's a good word.
I do feel bad for him. Here was a lion of a man. Back in his heyday, and to just be thrown out there,
and well liked by both sides in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of missed opportunities, and I think, but one thing I really like about him that I won't say Monday through Friday, nor on my show, is the man's devoted to his family.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he will do like any parent. He's gonna do anything for his kid.
Well, and Hunter's a good example,
and he's a great example. So my heart goes out to him, but. At the end of the day, I care about America more than any person. So, I feel pity for Biden. I really do.
It's cool. Okay. Dyer.
Notice how the answer is always, I'm going to plead the fifth on this one.
Okay.
Just because I don't want it to be used against me.
Of course.
But shock, I guess.
Yeah.
Shock. I think that's surprised.
That's a reasonable.
Shocked, and at the same time, I don't know what it's like to be mayor. The mayor's a tough job. I don't know what it's like to be president. I don't know what it's like to be an elected official. You have a lot of things coming your way. Being a politician, I've said it on my show. It's not that hard. But sometimes I think it might be a little harder.
There was a great book written in the 60s called Know What You Believe, and then another book called Know Why You Believe by Paul Little, both of those. And I think that anybody who goes into politics has to know what you believe, and you have to know why you believe it.
Yeah.
And if you're not solid in that, then you're going to be like the wave of the sea tossed by the wind back and forth. You have to know before you get to a decision-making point what you're going to do.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to be mealy-mouthed, and people don't mind whatever your belief is if you're solid and you stick with it.
And and that's true of the city of Fresno. And when you look back at Dyer, Lee Brand, Ashley, and Allen, I think all of them, they're great people, right? They're great individuals.
Really good people.
You know each and every one of them.
Absolutely.
They went into the mayorship wanting to please everybody and really do a great job for the city.
Yep.
And that's true of everyone.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Allen had the easiest time with it, I think, because Allen is different. He's not a politician.
No, he's not.
He's not a politician. And we've gone politically so bonkers that it's really hard to do that now.
Yep.
And I think that's what my word would be, pleaser. I think Jerry Dyer is trying to please so many people, hoping that everyone's going to like him. But in this political climate, it's just not possible. It's
you
not
have to understand you can be liked even if they don't like your policy, because you're consistent. You treat people with equity. You can still do that. Anyway, good point. Newsom.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you a Democrat.
Newsom is he's odd. He's an odd fella. He's I've always heard of him, growing up, because he was mayor, supervisor mayor.
Sure.
So always
San Francisco, big city.
Yeah, and I think growing up, it's like, well, he's up there in north. He's up north. No, and now as his prestige is getting higher, I think my feelings towards him, out of everyone that you've mentioned so far, is probably just he really just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. There's something about it. He just feels hypocritical almost.
He doesn't seem genuine to me.
That's what it is. He doesn't seem genuine to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can ever be genuine if you're not.
Yeah.
So disappointment.
You can't fake genuine.
Yeah, no, you can't.
That comes across real quick.
Yeah. We got a Republican coming up here?
Trump.
Okay. Pity.
Full circle here, huh?
Full circle. President Trump he's an interesting guy. Misunderstood.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say misunderstood.
Yeah.
I think he wants the country to succeed. I think Biden wants the country to succeed. Trump just doesn't know how to hold back.
Right.
He doesn't know how to portray himself. He really wants the good of the country. He wants everyone to be happy.
And some of his decisions are some of the best any president ever made, but he doesn't get credit because of the other stuff.
Exactly. So I think he's very misunderstood. Come on. The guy was liked by the Clintons and Oprah at one time.
Yeah.
The people that hate him now liked him.
They were friends.
So I think he's misunderstood. And I think deep down, all the insults and everything that comes out of his mouth, I think you have a genuine guy that really cares for people. I know people that I've never met the man, but I know people that have. And I always ask them, hey, what's he like? And they always tell me he's really nice, really down to earth, like he really cares.
Yeah.
So I think misunderstood. I wish that he could just be, ditch all the bravado, ditch all of that. I think he's still going to be brash, but
no doubt about it.
But I think he's misunderstood.
Well, the bravado got him elected.
And I think he feels like I have to keep doing it.
And I think that's the mistake. I think he is a good decision maker. He has, think about the Jerusalem, with the embassy. The first president to actually do what they said they would do.
Yeah.
Black colleges and universities got more funding from him than any president in history. So when you start looking at the things that actually were accomplished, pretty amazing. Amazing. It's just people can't get by the bravado, and so that makes it hard. Okay, Buttigieg.
He's interesting because I've South Bend is very close to my heart because that's where I went to college and it was like 20 minutes away. So
Yeah.
I've seen the city of South Bend. I think he's your typical opportunist on the left.
Ooh, that's a good word.
I think
I would agree with you.
I think he's an opportunist. I think he saw a gap of leadership, and he's gay, so he's got something fresh, something new for the party. So I think he's an opportunist. I think he's very smart. The man isn't dumb.
No, I agree.
Despite what we're seeing on television, I stood this far away from him. I didn't get to ask him any questions, but he is awkward, but he's a brain. He is very intelligent. He can really give Obama-esque answer.
No, I agree with you. But what it shows is that smarts don't get you anywhere.
They don't. They don't. And maybe that's why people like Trump, because here is a billionaire and he's relatable. He's relatable. Buttigieg is just not relatable. And I think with a lot of these, when you look at Buttigieg, when you look at Adam Schiff, when you look at Hillary Clinton, when you look at Chuck Schumer, when you look at Nancy Pelosi, I mean, they're odd characters, right? They're not normal people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, Feinstein.
Pity. I feel a lot of pity for these people. Feinstein, I've never had a problem with Feinstein.
Yeah.
Never. I think she is your pinnacle JFK
she's your
dem.
liberal, not woke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think she was very uncomfortable in the woke world.
Oh, I think she was.
Yeah.
I think she was. And I think she, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but I think she's well beyond her time.
Yes, she is.
She is well beyond her time.
There is, as much as we don't like to be ageist, and criticize people on age, there comes a point when you're not at the same level that you were, and unless you really got some good people working for you, it's tough. I've met her a number of times. She's always helped out in education. No matter what I asked, she always tried to find a way to help with what we needed. So I don't agree with all of her policies, but for education, she tried to help.
Yeah.
Last thought. We got 50 seconds. Are you ever going to run for office?
I am.
Okay, good.
I am.
Tell me what you're thinking.
Whatever the Lord. I remember that deal that I made with the Lord.
Yes.
The Lord. I've been so blessed to where He's always told me where to go. Right now in my heart.
Yeah.
I got to be careful I say this. It's got to be the Lord telling me, because it's not something that I'm going to be like Trump. I got a great life.
Yeah.
I got a great life.
Exactly.
I enjoyed what I do here. I enjoy. Do I want to be one of those politicians that I feel pity for?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Do I want to be that guy? So I made a deal with the Lord.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
And the Lord has always put me in places that I don't necessarily want to be.
Well,
so we'll see.
Let me tell you, I like that a lot. I ran for office because God basically said it was okay to do so. And then I was thinking about mayor, and he said no, and I'm glad he did. So, because mayor is tough. Listen, you've been listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. Special guest, Guillermo Moreno. We've had a great time. Guillermo, thank you so much for joining me today. Listen to us in Powell to the People, and also Good News with Larry Powell. We'll be back next week. See you then. Thanks. Yeah, that's cool.